Today is Thursday, June 27, 2004. I would like to share some teachings that form the essence of the Buddha's teachings, specifically regarding the concept of non-self, anatta, and ignorance, avijja, which is the root cause of our minds becoming entangled in conditions and formations. When the mind relies on these formations, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, it becomes trapped in the realms of existence, experiencing both happiness and suffering, and this cycle continues endlessly. The essence of the Dharma can sometimes seem neglected in discussions. Many people tend to speak broadly about various teachings, often straying from the core messages, leading them away from the path of understanding. It is crucial to focus on these fundamental truths to avoid getting lost in complexities and ultimately return to our true home within the Dharma. The purpose of teaching and discussing the Dharma is to guide us back to our true home. That is the essence of reversing the current. It is about bringing the mind back to its inherent purity. Right now, however, our minds are caught up in formations, flowing along with them. When the mind relies on abstract concepts, these concepts then shape our perceptions of concrete reality, leading us to perceive a self, a body, a mind, and a sense of ownership. We easily come to believe that this voice is us, that these thoughts are us, that these emotions are us. We perceive the sound, thinking, I am aware, I am hearing this sound, and we attribute meaning to it, claiming, this is my body. Yet the body itself never asserts what it is. If we observe our arms and legs, they don't communicate any identity, they simply exist. It is the sound that tells us, this is my arm, this is my leg, but in reality, these labels are merely constructs of our minds, further entrenching us in the illusion of self. Recognizing this can help us disentangle from such attachments and see the truth of our experience. Sentient beings, when flowing along with these formations, project their minds outward, clinging to notions of parents, relatives, siblings, homes, cars, and possessions. We seek external abstract concepts, not just external forms, pursuing a vast array of knowledge and ideas that ultimately have no inherent existence. Yet we remember, grasp, and cling to these constructs, further entangling ourselves in the illusion of self and ownership. This cycle of attachment perpetuates our suffering and obscures our understanding of the true nature of reality. Recognizing this pattern is crucial for our liberation, yet we often overlook the purpose of our existence, becoming enamored with various narratives that the world presents. Many of us have pondered the question of why we were born. The answer is clear. We are not born to be captivated by forms or abstractions. We are not here to become attached to this body or to the thoughts, emotions, and sensations we experience. Rather, we are born to learn about the nature of these formations, to understand that this world is ultimately empty. Our journey is about realizing the transient nature of all things and awakening to the truth of our existence, free from attachment and illusion. This understanding can guide us toward liberation and deeper insight into the nature of reality. As the Buddha taught, this world is empty. It is empty because nothing has inherent existence. Our minds create meaning and value in everything, leading to the stories and experiences we encounter. The emptiness arises because these thoughts and formations do not possess any true substance. They are merely fluctuations of emptiness itself. They are manifestations of the mind's activity, reflecting the transient nature of reality. Understanding this emptiness can free us from attachment and lead to deeper insight into our true nature and the nature of existence. Our minds are like pure empty spaces. free from birth and death, light and darkness. They are beyond notions of merit and demerit, good and evil. The mind does not seek knowledge, as the knowledge we acquire often does not liberate us from suffering. Rather, it can lead to more attachment and arrogance, creating a false sense of self. When we believe in this false self, we experience suffering and conflict as we compete for material possessions and engage in harmful behaviors towards one another. Recognizing the true nature of the mind can help us transcend these illusions and foster compassion, leading to a more harmonious existence. Our bodies only need 1 meal a day to survive, yet today we often indulge in 8 meals. Instead of choosing simple, nutritious food, we seek out expensive items that provide little real benefit. We tirelessly pursue wealth, accumulating vast amounts that we could never use up in a lifetime, yet we never know when to stop. Rather than hoarding material possessions, wealth, status, and praise for ourselves, we should consider sharing what we have with others, especially those who are less fortunate. Helping one another and fostering a sense of community is what truly brings happiness to our existence. This is what we ought to do, yet often we fail to take action. In each lifetime, we become lost in the pursuit of desires and happiness. We seek wealth and resources to attain happiness, strive for status and recognition to feel fulfilled, and ultimately chase after happiness itself. When suffering arises, we turn to the practice of Dharma, again seeking happiness. We give to charity hoping for happiness, keep precepts to find happiness, cultivate mindfulness and meditation for happiness, and develop wisdom for the same reason. We want to possess happiness, believing that it has a tangible existence. This attachment to the idea of happiness as something to be acquired traps us in a cycle of desire and disappointment, preventing us from recognizing the deeper nature of true contentment and peace. Understanding this can lead us to a more profound realization of happiness that transcends mere craving and attachment. Our minds are pure elements. Do we understand what it means to be pure? They neither come nor go, neither are born nor die, neither are dark nor light. They do not seek merit or demerit, good or evil. They are pure like the emptiness of space. Just as space cannot hold on to anything, our true nature is not something to be grasped or accumulated. We are driven by desires and the longing to possess. We are born with a fundamental craving for things that lack inherent existence, wanting them to take on a solid form. We desire what is not us and not ours, seeking to create a sense of self that we can hold on to eternally. We don't want to age, suffer, or disintegrate. We want to maintain our sense of identity forever. The Buddha did not teach us to become attached to anything in this world, because everything here is ultimately empty. Whatever we acquire, we will eventually return to the world. Nothing truly belongs to us. We have never truly owned anything, nor have we ever possessed a beloved child. We are pure, empty elements. Our minds do not recognize this truth, which is why we need to cultivate wisdom by listening to the Dharma. This understanding helps us realize that our mind is indeed a pure and empty essence. We must recognize that we are temporarily residing in these conditioned forms of the mind, mental formations. When the mind relies on conditioned phenomena, it creates these intricate formations, which we refer to as subtle aspects of the body or katasika. The mind itself has no form or shape, yet it generates the appearances of sound, images, emotions, and perceptions. These created forms become tools through which we engage with the world, transforming the pure, empty essence of our being into something seemingly substantial. The truth is that our minds are already the essence of nirvana, pure and inherently free. However, due to ignorance and a lack of wisdom, we do not realize this. Therefore, we need to engage with the Dharma to cultivate wisdom and awaken to our true nature, which is already pure and liberated. When we have the opportunity to listen to teachings from wise teachers about the mind and wisdom, we are indeed extremely fortunate. A mind that receives such teachings is the luckiest of all, even more so than winning a lottery. When we listen to these teachings, we gain insight into the nature of conditioned phenomena, realizing that we have long been attached to these forms. We come to understand that these conditioned aspects have no inherent existence. Our ignorance has led us to rely on them, creating abstract concepts that we mistakenly believe have substance. We form attachments, thinking that these abstractions define our identity and value, thereby solidifying the perception of a self. This process reinforces our attachment to the physical body and external appearances, creating a dense sense of I and mine. Recognizing this dynamic through the Dharma can help us disentangle from these illusions, guiding us back to the realization of our true nature. We become entangled in both the tangible and the intangible. O mind, awaken. Do you realize that you are a pure essence? You have become captivated by the appearances and formations that you yourself have created, relying on these constructs to define yourself as a human being. O mind, it is time to awaken to the truth. You have strayed from the path, clinging to these illusions. Your purpose is to learn that these things do not possess any inherent existence. Your only task is to understand this, not to be lost in endless distractions. Recognizing this can lead you back to your true nature and the freedom that lies beyond attachment. Our minds are pure, empty, and radiant. They are already the essence of nirvana. They simply do not know this truth and only seek to learn. The mind is inherently clear and pure, devoid of anything substantial. However, due to ignorance, it has constructed conditioned phenomena to create temporary meanings and values. But once it relies on these formations, they become far more than temporary. They become deeply entrenched. Throughout our lives, from childhood to old age, who has taught us to reverse this current? Has anyone ever pointed out that the sounds we hear are not us? That we should not be swept away by these sounds, which ascribe notions of merit and demerit, good and bad? These sounds label our bodies and create a sense of self, telling us that there are beings and identities. We wander the world in search of the Dharma, unaware that these very sounds are responsible for shaping our perceptions and creating all our stories. Recognizing this dynamic is essential for awakening and returning to our true nature. We are pure elements, like a clear, pristine crystal, truly pure. This essence has never come, never gone, never been born, and never died. This purity signifies an untouched state of being. Yet from this pure essence, the mind creates various constructs. It generates thoughts, emotions, and perceptions, shaping our experiences and reality. This creative process leads to the formation of all that we encounter, but it can also lead us away from recognizing our true nature. Understanding this dynamic can help us realize that beneath all these creations, we remain that clear, pure essence, untouched by the fluctuations of the mind. Before anything existed, the pure essence was already present as the foundation of all creation. This essence is like a seed, such as that of a rubber tree, which holds the potential to create everything. When planted in fertile soil and nourished, the seed grows into a large tree. providing shade, branches, leaves, and fruit, sustaining countless beings and facilitating life. As it matures, it produces many seeds that spread and create new life, illustrating the cycle of growth. Similarly, when a mother's egg combines with a father's sperm, it begins to divide and form cells that develop into a human body. This process demonstrates how, from a single union, a complex identity emerges, rooted in the pure essence of existence. Each human being has a unique appearance, with various differences in facial features, skin, personality traits, and body structure. While we all share the same fundamental human form, our individual characteristics set us apart. Similarly, each mind holds its own unique truths and qualities that have been established differently. This diversity in understanding and perception reflects the individuality of each person, even as we share the same fundamental essence. We can refer to our minds as the essence of truth, or Sakadhatu. Our minds share a fundamental nature. They are pure, clear, and empty. This essential quality is the same across all beings, whether they are animals, humans, arahants, or Buddhas. All these minds are fundamentally one, embodying the same Dharma nature. They possess similar characteristics of clarity and emptiness, although the depth of wisdom within this emptiness may vary. This reflects the nature of the Dharma, which remains constant while expressing itself in different ways, creating ripples that represent the dynamic qualities of existence. The mind can be likened to water in various forms, whether in a glass, a jug, a pot, or the ocean, all of which are fundamentally the same. When combined, they merge into one, representing the unity of all consciousness, whether of animals, arahants, or Buddhas. This essence is pure and clear, embodying the same fundamental nature. However, within this unity, there are differences in wisdom and understanding. Similar to seeds from the same tree, each may grow differently, but share the same fundamental identity. Our minds are fundamentally one in their clear, empty nature, resembling the vast emptiness of space. Yet the distinctions lie in the unique qualities of each mind, shaped by their individual truths and the desire to learn. This inherent ignorance drives the mind to create and manifest experiences. Understanding this interplay of clarity, emptiness, and the movement of the mind allows for a deeper insight into our shared essence and the diversity of our experiences. The mind inherently seeks to learn, creating and manifesting through its movements. This activity exists within a clear and empty essence, similar to the air we breathe. While the air moves and gives rise to various phenomena, the emptiness remains still. The mind is the original element that generates everything and holds immense potential. Those who train their minds can gain profound insights and understanding. Through practice, we realize that our sense of self is merely a transient manifestation of the mind's fluctuations. This perception arises from the mind's activities, which we mistakenly take as concrete reality. The mind is the original element that creates everything and possesses great potential. Those who diligently train their minds to achieve deep concentration develop profound insights. As our minds cultivate this understanding, we come to realize that the self we identify with is merely a fleeting manifestation of the mind's fluctuations. In truth, this sense of self has never truly existed. It arises from the movements of pure nature, which we mistakenly shape and cling to. We believe that our thoughts and voices have a distinct existence, when in reality they do not. Just as the wind blows or the rain falls without declaring its identity, our thoughts are simply natural phenomena existing in their own right. We create names and meanings through language, attributing concepts to everything around us, including our minds. This is where we misunderstand. While the mind is a pure, empty element, when the mind creates mental formations, these formations condition the mind itself, leading us to believe that I am the mind. However, the mind has no name or language. What we express is merely a manifestation of the mind. Yet we mistakenly identify with these expressions and take them as definitive representations of our true self. When we are fortunate enough to listen to the Dharma, which focuses on the mind and the cultivation of wisdom, we begin to understand our minds better. This understanding allows us to teach and guide our own minds toward clarity and insight. We will come to understand our minds, teaching them that they are pure elements. The sounds we hear do not possess true existence. They are merely vibrations of the mind. Thoughts and emotions are also just movements of the mind. The perceptions we have are simply aspects of your nature, dear mind. Awaken from ignorance and accept this knowledge. Nothing has ever been us. There is nothing that truly belongs to the mind. Do not cling to these illusions. The mind has forgotten its true nature, relying on conditioned formations and believing they have a true existence. In reality, our minds are the original elements, complete and inherently whole. We do not need to create merit or practice rituals to attain anything. We are already complete. The concepts of generosity, moral conduct, and meditation are all expressions of our mind. Everything in the three realms is created from our consciousness. Each of us possesses a pure, clear essence, but in the pursuit of learning, we mistakenly cling to these conditioned states, much like depending on a servant. This reliance becomes habitual, leading us further from the truth of our being. When we depend on these conditioned formations, it's like relying on servants to manage our lives. We get comfortable with this arrangement, and when we fear losing these servants, we create new ones to fill their roles, like hiring more voices to speak, thoughts to think, and emotions to feel. Each aspect of our experience becomes a different servant, handling tasks like memory, perception, and even maintaining our mental environment. We have been relying on these conditioned aspects of the mind without realizing that they are not our true selves. The mind is a pure element that lacks wisdom. It exists in a state of ignorance, desiring to learn but getting caught in the cycle of existence. If it were truly wise, it wouldn't have to undergo rebirth and face the continuous cycle of suffering and joy. Instead, it gets trapped in this cycle, experiencing all forms of life, both pleasant and painful, leading to an endless loop of birth and rebirth. You could indeed call it foolishness, as it fails to recognize its true nature and the path to liberation. The Buddha had compassion for all beings because he saw that they were trapped in the cycle of suffering. He sought a way to help beings escape this cycle, and ultimately realizing that one is pure essence, the Buddha saw that the conditioned phenomena are merely illusions that should not be clung to. Our minds do not require food, do not experience sickness, and are interconnected with all phenomena. Everything exists within our minds. There is no need to seek externally. The mind possesses the power to create everything. It is the source and truth of all that exists in this universe. When the mind relies on pleasant emotions, it experiences happiness. When it depends on negative states, it encounters suffering. When the mind engages with sounds, it can become entangled in either wholesome or unwholesome thoughts, leading to confusion. Whenever the mind clings to thoughts, images, or sensations, it gets pulled into these experiences, creating a sense of self and suffering. This cycle continues endlessly, perpetuating the wheel of existence without resolution. We are pure essence. Thoughts, emotions, and perceptions have never had a true existence. The sound has manifested and then dissipated. It has no true existence. Emotions have never had a true essence. Whose emotions possess real substance? They arise and then fade away. Who claims that sounds or emotions have a true essence? They come and go. There's no need to cling to them. The sensations we perceive are merely recognizing themselves. They have no shape, no true form, and no real identity. If we simply see that nothing is truly us, we will come to understand that this emptiness is the essence of the mind, our pure nature. If we simply recognize that there is nothing that constitutes us, we will become the experience of nothingness itself. That nothingness is the essence of the mind, the pure element. The Buddhas and Arahants are not anything. All sentient beings are not anything. We are not anything. It's important to understand this and not cling to anything. Nothing truly exists. We are the mind, the original element that creates all these conditioned experiences. We are the mind, the original element that creates all these conditioned phenomena. Yet we mistakenly believe in these phenomena. We are the essence of emptiness and clarity, and that's our true nature. However, don't think of this emptiness as a solid entity located somewhere. It's not. It is everything. We are all that is. The key is not to cling to anything. We are temporarily residing in this conventional world to learn and grow. We are fortunate to encounter the teachings of the Buddha. As we embrace these teachings, we understand that the five aggregates are not self. The body and mind, both form and formless, have no true existence. All the Dharma teachings convey that nothing possesses inherent identity. They aim to help our minds realize not to cling to anything, as everything is merely a manifestation of the mind. It's simply a communication, a ripple from one mind to another, referred to as the transmission from mind to mind. We all possess a mind that is inherently pure, a seed of purity that does not need to be sought after or created elsewhere. This essence exists within each of us already. There's no need to search for it elsewhere or to create it anew. We already possess it within us. We should not become attached to any conditioned phenomena. Our minds are pure and represent the fundamental essence from which everything arises. The conditioned mind, Chitta Sankhara, is an element of fabrication arising from the pure essence of the mind. All material phenomena emerge from this conditioned nature. The sound arises from emptiness, as do thoughts, emotions, and perceptions. Ultimately, they dissolve back into that original state of pure emptiness. Just don't cling, avoid ignorance. Don't mistake these phenomena as having a true self or as belonging to us. We are pure, empty, and clear essence. Don't forget this point. Everything else is an illusion, lacking true existence. We have never been human. We have never been born into this world. The mind is pure essence. It neither comes nor goes, neither is born nor dies, neither dark nor light. There are no merits, sins, good or evil residing in this pure essence of our mind. It's simply that the mind does not know or understand this. We should regularly listen to the Dharma, especially on the Nameless Monk page, from the moment we wake until we sleep. Listening deeply embeds these teachings in our minds, fostering understanding. As the mind awakens to its true nature, it becomes lighter and more liberated. Observe closely. When the Dharma truly reaches your heart, it alleviates suffering, allowing you to live in this world without distress. That is Dharma. If we still need to use the body for practice, that's not true Dharma. If we feel the need to maintain the mind, that's not Dharma either. If we're forcing ourselves to concentrate or focus, that's not the essence of Dharma. These efforts carry a sense of heaviness and a notion of self, leading to struggle and desire for something more. It's essential to observe this closely. True Dharma is fundamentally about the absence of self. It involves recognizing that there is no I, no you, and nothing at all. When we perceive sound, we must understand that it is not sound. In the act of speaking, there is no individual doing the speaking. It's simply a phenomenon that doesn't possess any inherent existence. Have we heard this? It is as it is. To see the truth is to see the Tathagata. The Tathagata represents the state of suchness, the realization that nothing possesses inherent existence. This sound exists as it is, hearing is merely its own function, and seeing is just the same. Smell, taste, touch, all operate in their own way. The body ages, aches, and eventually disintegrates. That's simply its nature. Understand that nothing is us or belongs to anyone. There is no distinction between male and female, good and bad, right and wrong, true and false. All of this is mere fabrication, part of the conceptual world where the ignorant mind clings to illusions. We must be taught to awaken. Do not cling to these phenomena. They are simply ripples arising from emptiness, returning to emptiness. Our mind is a state of pure emptiness. Everything else is merely a ripple of the mind. When there is no impact, it dissolves and returns to the original state of pure emptiness. If we understand this until the mind accepts it and gains the wisdom of knowledge, it will arise spontaneously, becoming completely clear and empty. We will always understand and be aware, recognizing the voice we speak in our minds and seeing the mental images continuously and automatically. There is no one who is knowing or seeing. The mind will perceive according to its own nature. In truth, our mind is always aware of itself. In the realm of convention, there are merely functions. The functions responsible for thinking, feeling, and perceiving are like officials carrying out their duties. There are the officials who think, those who reflect, those who experience emotions, and those who perceive. Each of these roles operates independently, without a true self behind them. There is no us in this conventional world. Do we understand this? Let nature fulfill its roles. These are merely phenomena arising from the pure essence, responding to conditions, shaped by the ignorance that leads us to exist in this way. Our minds have been in ignorance for a long time, relying on these forms for an extended period. It has relied on both coarse and subtle bodily forms, but now we understand that it is simply as it is. What more is there to take from these things? But those who are caught in ignorance cling to it, holding on for so long without end. They cling to the belief that I am suffering. Why hold on to it when they know it causes pain? They know it's burdensome, yet they carry it. They know happiness exists, so why cling to that too? Happiness and suffering are just fluctuations. We carry happiness and push away suffering, but they are two sides of the same coin. When you pick up a coin, you get both heads and tails. Similarly, you can experience both happiness and suffering. It encompasses both wholesome and unwholesome states. That's why it emphasizes the need for us to awaken. Do not foolishly cling to these experiences. The purpose is to see and understand them without attachment. When you see, don't think of yourself as the one who sees. Even the understanding itself should not be clung to as our understanding. It is simply the nature of understanding that exists on its own. What is there to grasp from that? It's as if this world is a realm of thinking agents and knowing agents, but within it there is no us. Do you understand? Just let them perform their functions. The Buddha taught that it is anatta, not self. It is not us and not ours. We should not cling to it, that's all. Do you realize that you are speaking right now? Do you know that you are thinking? The voice that is speaking is just a function of thought. Don't cling to it or hold on to it. We get so caught up in our thoughts that we fail to notice that we are thinking. It gets dragged along by mental formations endlessly. Avijja pachaya sankhara. Ignorance is a condition that gives rise to formations, sankhara. Do you know that you are thinking right now? Do you realize that you are feeling both happiness and suffering? Just knowing that you are thinking is enough. Recognize the internal dialogue, the constant chatter in your mind. When you become aware of it, that's when it ends. At an appropriate time, I would like to conclude here. May all of us who sincerely aspire not to be reborn, who are determined in the path to enlightenment, attain realization in the Dharma, and achieve enlightenment swiftly. May it be so. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. From this moment on, I shall diligently listen to this Dharma and remain aware within. I will perceive thoughts, emotions, and awareness as natural phenomena, not as self or mine. I will refrain from clinging to any phenomena. I will be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. This lifetime will be my final birth. When I have realized the Dharma, I will guide my children, grandchildren, and acquaintances to cultivate mindfulness within themselves, remaining free from attachment to thoughts and emotions. I will carry out this practice until the end of my life as an offering to the Buddha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.